running drugs.
What if everything we saw in the Dutton Ranch Season 2 trailer was only hiding the real story? Carter has been kidnapped, Mariano has officially declared war, and Beth and Rip are about to face the biggest fight of their lives. But
Running drugs.
that's not even the most shocking part.
You're
The
already a
trailer
dead man.
quietly hints that a powerful ally could return when they need help the most, while another character may secretly betray everyone from the inside. Could Episode 1 finally bring the Yellowstone crossover fans have been waiting for? And is Carter really Mariano's prisoner, or is he part of a much bigger plan? Let's break down every clue from the first look trailer and find out what could happen in Dutton Ranch Season 2, Episode 1. The first thing that stands out in the Season 2, Episode 1 first look is the complete change in atmosphere. Season 1 ended with Hope disappearing almost instantly. Beth and Rip had managed to survive Mariano's attack, but their victory lasted only a few moments because Carter was taken away before they even had a chance to celebrate. Instead of ending the story, the finale created an even bigger conflict, and Episode 1 looks ready to continue exactly where everything stopped. The trailer gives us the feeling that Beth and Rip have no time to recover from what happened. They know every minute matters because Mariano is not the kind of enemy who kidnaps someone without a reason. He always thinks several steps ahead, and that makes him much more dangerous than a normal villain. He understands that hurting Beth or Rip directly would only make them fight harder, but taking Carter changes everything. Instead of attacking their ranch, Mariano attacks their emotions, and that could become his biggest weapon in Season 2. One interesting detail in the trailer is how calm Mariano appears. While Beth and Rip are preparing for another battle, Mariano doesn't seem worried at all. That tells us he probably believes he already has the advantage. The biggest question is why. Is it because Carter is now his hostage? Or is there another secret plan that hasn't been revealed yet? Knowing how the writers handled Season 1, there is a very good chance they are saving a major twist for Episode 1. At the same time, Beth is clearly different from the person we saw at the beginning of Season 1. During the first season, she slowly started accepting life at the ranch and began building a family with Rip and Carter. Losing Carter now doesn't only mean losing someone they love. It also destroys the peaceful future Beth believed she had finally found. That emotional pain could make her even more dangerous than before. Rip is likely to react differently. Instead of letting emotions control him, he will probably focus on making a plan. Throughout Season 1, Rip proved that he stays calm even during impossible situations. But Carter's kidnapping is personal, and this time we may see a side of Rip that even longtime Yellowstone fans have never seen before. If Mariano thinks Carter is simply another bargaining chip, he could be making the biggest mistake of his life. Another important clue comes from the trailer's silence. We don't actually hear Carter speaking. That may not seem important at first, but trailers often hide major surprises by avoiding dialogue from key characters. If Carter isn't shown talking, it could mean Episode 1 wants to keep his situation a mystery until the very last moment. Maybe he isn't locked in a normal prison at all. Maybe Mariano has taken him somewhere much more dangerous, where escaping won't be possible without outside help. And that's where another exciting theory begins. Fans have been waiting for a connection between Dutton Ranch and Marshall's ever since both stories started expanding the Yellowstone universe. The timing now feels almost perfect. Carter has disappeared. Mariano's cartel is becoming stronger. The conflict is growing beyond one ranch, and that means Beth and Rip may finally realize they can't win this war alone. The trailer also gives small hints that several new faces could arrive in Episode 1. While the footage doesn't reveal exactly who they are, it creates the feeling that Beth and Rip are preparing to meet people who will completely change the direction of the story. Some of these characters could become trusted allies, while others may secretly be working for Mariano. That uncertainty is exactly what makes the first episode so exciting, because viewers won't immediately know who can actually be trusted. One thing is becoming very clear already. Season 2 doesn't look like it will spend much time setting up the story. Instead, Episode 1 appears ready to throw everyone directly into the middle of the action. Every decision Beth and Rip make could determine whether Carter survives or whether Mariano's plan succeeds. And if the trailer is hiding even half of its biggest surprises, then Episode 1 could easily become one of the strongest premieres in the entire Yellowstone universe. The biggest mystery, however, may not be where Carter is. The real mystery could be why Mariano chose to keep him alive in the first place. That single question might completely change everything we think we know about Season 2. Now, let's talk about the biggest mystery surrounding Carter, because I don't think Mariano kidnapped him just to force Beth and Rip into making a deal. That explanation feels too simple. If Season 1 taught us anything, it's that Mariano never makes a move without thinking about the long-term consequences. Every decision he makes creates another opportunity, and Carter could be the key to a much bigger strategy that hasn't been revealed yet. When we look back at the Season 1 finale, Mariano had several chances to cause even more damage during the attack. Instead of staying to continue the fight, he focused on taking Carter and leaving as quickly as possible. That tells us Carter is more valuable alive than dead. The question is why? What makes Carter so important that Mariano was willing to risk everything just to capture him? One possibility is that Mariano understands something Beth and Rip haven't realized yet. Carter isn't just part of their family anymore. He's also the emotional center of the ranch. Everyone around him has become stronger because of the hope he brings. If Mariano can take that hope away, then he doesn't just hurt one person. He weakens the entire ranch from the inside. But I also think there could be another reason. Mariano may believe Carter can be used to control every decision Beth and Rip make. Instead of attacking them with guns, he could start attacking them psychologically. Imagine receiving a message every few days, reminding you that Carter is still alive, but only if you follow Mariano's rules. That kind of pressure could slowly break even the strongest people. The trailer also hints that Carter won't simply sit and wait to be rescued. Throughout Season 1, he continued proving that he learns quickly and refuses to give up, even during dangerous situations. Because of that, I wouldn't be surprised if Episode 1 shows Carter secretly studying Mariano's operation instead of focusing only on escaping. He could begin noticing who gives the orders, how the guards work together, and where the weaknesses are. Those small observations may become extremely important later in the season. Another interesting detail is Mariano himself. Even though he has officially become the main villain, the writers haven't shown him as someone who enjoys meaningless violence. He always seems calm, patient, and calculated. That makes him unpredictable because nobody knows what he will do next. Instead of hurting Carter immediately, Mariano could actually start talking to him. At first, that idea sounds strange, but imagine Mariano trying to convince Carter that Beth and Rip are making the wrong choices. He could claim that everything happening now is their fault, and that none of this would have happened if they had simply accepted his offer. This psychological game would create much more tension than a simple hostage situation, because Mariano wouldn't only be trying to control Carter's body, he would be trying to influence his mind as well. Of course, Carter knows Beth and Rip better than anyone. They risked everything to give him a real family, and it's hard to imagine him believing Mariano's words. But even if Carter never trusts him, Mariano could still use these conversations to gather information about Beth and Rip. He wants to understand how they think before making his next move. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Beth and Rip are probably reacting very differently. Beth is unlikely to wait for anyone's permission. Every hour that passes increases the danger, and she knows that. Instead of sitting through long discussions, she may push everyone toward immediate action. That determination has always been one of her greatest strengths, but this time it could also become her biggest weakness. Mariano may actually expect Beth to act emotionally because emotional decisions are often easier to predict. Rip, on the other hand, is more likely to slow everything down. He understands that rushing into enemy territory without reliable information could make the situation even worse. If they attack too early, Mariano might simply move Carter somewhere else, making the rescue almost impossible. Because of that, Rip may insist on gathering intelligence before launching any operation. This difference between Beth and Rip could create one of the strongest emotional moments in Episode 1. Both of them want exactly the same thing, to bring Carter home safely, but they completely disagree on how to do it. That disagreement doesn't mean they're falling apart. In fact, it shows how much they both care. Beth wants to save Carter immediately, while Rip wants to make sure they don't lose him forever because of one reckless decision. The trailer also includes several quick shots that suggest someone may already be watching Mariano from the shadows. The footage never clearly reveals who it is, but it creates the feeling that another player has quietly entered the game. This person could become the unexpected advantage Beth and Rip desperately need, Or they could introduce an entirely new threat that no one sees coming. And that's what makes episode 1 so exciting. It's not just about rescuing Carter anymore, it's about discovering who is secretly pulling the strings behind this growing war. Because if Mariano is only one piece of a much larger plan, then Beth and Rip are about to face an enemy far more dangerous than they ever imagined. Now let's talk about the biggest theory surrounding the Season 2 trailer, because many fans believe Episode 1 could finally introduce the crossover everyone has been waiting for. After everything that happened in the Season 1 finale, Beth and Rip are no longer dealing with a simple ranch problem. They are facing a powerful cartel with endless resources, and that changes the entire situation. This is exactly the kind of crisis that could bring familiar faces into the story. One character that immediately comes to mind is Casey. Throughout the Yellowstone universe, Casey has always been the person willing to step into danger when his family needs him. If he learns that Carter has been kidnapped, it would be almost impossible for him to stay away. Family has always been his first priority, and the trailer creates the feeling that help may already be on the way. But I don't think Casey would simply arrive, grab a weapon, and start fighting. That would be too predictable. Instead, Episode 1 could show him carefully studying Mariano's organization before making his first move. Casey has always been someone who understands that rushing into battle usually creates even bigger problems. Against an enemy like Mariano, patience could become the most powerful weapon. Imagine Beth believing they should attack immediately, while Casey argues that they need to understand the cartel first. At first, this disagreement could create tension between them. But eventually, both sides might realize that combining Beth's determination with Casey's experience gives them their best chance of bringing Carter home safely. The trailer also seems to suggest that Mariano has expanded his network far beyond what anyone expected. During Season 1, we mainly saw his direct operations, but Episode 1 could reveal that his influence reaches into places Beth and Rip never imagined. If that's true, then finding Carter won't simply mean tracking one location. It could mean uncovering an entire criminal network hiding in plain sight. That possibility makes another mystery even more interesting. What if someone close to the ranch has been secretly helping Mariano all along? Every successful organization depends on information, and Mariano somehow always seems to know exactly what's happening. That raises an uncomfortable question. Is there someone feeding him information from inside? The trailer never clearly answers this question, but it leaves enough clues to keep fans guessing. One suspicious moment shows characters exchanging worried looks without saying a single word. It could simply be clever editing, but it might also be hinting that trust will become one of the biggest themes of Season 2. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy isn't standing outside the gate. Sometimes they're already standing beside you. If that theory turns out to be true, then Beth and Rip won't only have to rescue Carter, they'll also have to discover who they can actually trust. Every conversation, every decision, and every new alliance could carry hidden risks. That kind of uncertainty would make every episode far more intense because viewers would constantly question everyone's true intentions. Another character who deserves attention is Bula. After everything that happened during the finale, she has lost almost everything. Rob Will is gone, Mariano has taken complete control of the situation, and her own choices have led to heartbreaking consequences. The trailer shows very little of her, but that silence could actually mean her role is becoming even more important. Bula now stands at a crossroads. She can continue living under Mariano's influence, or she can finally fight back against the man who has controlled so much of her life. If she decides to help Beth and Rip, she could provide information that nobody else has. She understands Mariano's habits, his weaknesses, and the way he thinks. That knowledge alone could completely change the rescue mission. Of course, earning Beth's trust won't be easy. Beth has every reason to question Bula after everything that happened in Season 1. Even if Bula genuinely wants to help, Beth may believe it's another trap. That conflict could create some of the strongest emotional moments in Episode 1, because both women may want the same outcome, but neither is sure whether the other can be trusted. At the same time, Rip will probably find himself trying to keep everyone focused on the main goal. He knows that personal arguments only waste valuable time, especially while Carter remains in danger. His biggest challenge may not be defeating Mariano. It may be keeping his own team united long enough to fight back. As the trailer reaches its final moments, one message becomes very clear. This war is only beginning. The kidnapping of Carter wasn't the ending of one story. It was the beginning of something much bigger. Every clue points toward a conflict that will stretch far beyond a single ranch, and episode 1 looks ready to raise the stakes higher than ever before, but there is still one mystery that the trailer carefully avoids answering. Mariano appears confident, almost too confident. It's as if he already knows exactly how Beth and Rip are going to respond. And if that's true, then maybe Carter's kidnapping was never the real objective. Maybe it was only the first move in a much larger plan that is about to shock everyone in Season 2. Now let's focus on the first look trailer itself, because it may be hiding its biggest secrets in the smallest details. Most fans immediately noticed the action, the weapons, and the emotional moments, but I think the trailer is actually trying to distract us from something much more important. Sometimes what a trailer doesn't show is just as important as what it does show. One thing that immediately caught my attention is that we never get a full look at Mariano's next move. We see him looking completely calm, confident, and in control, but the trailer never explains why he is so relaxed. That's unusual for a villain who has just started a war against Beth and Rip. Normally, both sides would be preparing for a massive battle. Instead, Mariano acts like he already knows the outcome. That makes me think he has another advantage that hasn't been revealed yet. It could be another group working with the cartel. It could be someone secretly watching Beth and Rip from inside Texas. Or it could even be information that only Mariano knows. Whatever it is, episode 1 will probably reveal that Carter's kidnapping was only one part of a much larger strategy. Another interesting detail is how Beth behaves throughout the trailer. She looks determined, but she also looks different. There is more anger in her expressions than fear. That tells us she isn't planning to wait for Mariano to make the next move. Instead, Beth will most likely decide to take the fight directly to him. The problem is that Mariano may actually be expecting exactly that. Throughout Season 1, Mariano proved he understands how people react under pressure. He knows Beth loves Carter like family, and he probably believes she will allow her emotions to control her decisions. If Beth rushes into enemy territory without enough information, she could walk straight into a trap that Mariano has already prepared. Rip understands this better than anyone. While Beth wants immediate action, Rip has always believed that patience wins difficult battles. I think episode 1 will show Rip trying to convince Beth that charging into danger could make Carter's situation even worse. If Mariano realizes they are getting close, he could simply move Carter somewhere else before they even arrive. That difference in strategy doesn't mean Beth and Rip are falling apart. Instead, it highlights why they work so well together. Beth brings fearless determination, while Rip brings careful planning. Together, they balance each other, and defeating Mariano will require both qualities. Another mystery that deserves attention is Oriana. By the end of Season 1, everything in her life had completely changed. Carter disappeared, Rob Will was killed, and her future suddenly became uncertain. If she really is carrying Carter's child, then the stakes become even higher. She no longer has to think only about herself. Every decision she makes could affect the future of her family. Because of that, I think Oriana could become one of the most important characters in episode 1. She may refuse to sit quietly while everyone else searches for Carter. Instead, she could begin investigating on her own. Since she already knows people connected to Mariano's world, she might notice clues that Beth and Rip completely miss. Sometimes the person nobody expects becomes the one who changes everything. The trailer also gives us the feeling that the ranch itself is changing. Season 1 was largely about building a new beginning for Beth, Rip, and Carter. Season 2 feels completely different. The ranch is no longer just a home. It has become the center of an expanding war. Every visitor could be an ally, every stranger could be an enemy, and every decision could bring even greater danger. That shift in atmosphere makes episode 1 feel much darker than anything we've seen before. I also wouldn't be surprised if the writers spend time showing how the kidnapping